Hi, my name is Michelle Morgan, and my presentation today is on childcare subsidies' impact on parent perception of employment stability. To bring the problem of affordable quality childcare into context, here are some statistics I'd like you to consider. In 2017, Childcare Aware of America, a national childcare advocacy group, reported that single parents paid annually roughly 54% of their income on infant care, while married parents with two children paid roughly 96.4% of their income on infant care. Illinois ranks 11th highest in the nation for the cost of childcare, and Illinois parents pay an average of $23,426 a year for childcare. Childcare is an essential expense for working parents, and poverty creates accessibility and affordability issues for parents who work. Quality of care and care environments also affect cognitive and socio-emotional development in children, which has an effect on their life course development. The Illinois Child Care Assistance Program is an anti-poverty work support program funded through federal and state grants and administered through the Illinois Department of Human Services. It is designed to empower parents to work by alleviating barriers to child care for parents of children under the age of 13. The state pays qualified care providers a subsidy to care for eligible children. Participants are required to work, attend school, or participate in career training programs, as well as pay a copayment to the provider based on their income and family size. They are required to reapply every 6 months or when their income or family status changes. It is administered in Coles County through EIU's Child Care Resource and Referral Program, and the office is located in Clem Hall. Literature reviewed on the topic identified some core themes regarding the subsidy program. It appears to show that child care remained stable with the subsidies, but had an effect on the job sought, but little effect on employment status. It also reflects the benefits of the program of moving recipients from welfare to work and increasing employment stability, especially for single mothers. It also appears that there could be unintended consequences to single parents who are female who participate in the program, like limiting the type of job sought. The goal of the study is to determine if child care subsidies are perceived as an effective policy at helping rural low-income parents in Illinois achieve stable employment. The information obtained in the study can be used to improve services at the local level and impact statewide policy changes related to the implementation of this program. I propose that child care subsidies have a positive impact on employment stability in Coles County, Illinois. And to determine if my hypothesis is correct, I wanted to know, do Coles County, Illinois subsidy recipients perceive the subsidies affect their employment stability? And do Coles County, Illinois subsidy recipients believe subsidies play a role in their ability to maintain stable employment? This study was a qualitative, descriptive, and non-experimental blind study. Random sampling was used to choose participants, and general frequency was used to create a path analysis for visually presenting the data. Information was collected on a survey instrument that I designed and distributed by mail and online to 213 randomly selected participants from Coles County, Illinois, who are enrolled through the EIU Child Care Resource and Referral Program. The survey asked open-ended questions that allowed participants to express their perceptions and personal experiences, and observations and conclusions were based on interpreting these responses. Eligibility requirements for the study were based on principal guidelines outlined by the Illinois Department of Human Services for participation in the subsidy program. Demographics and comments were collected from the survey and used to identify concepts central to the perceptions and to identify phenomena unique to Coles County, Illinois subsidy participants, and information was coded to analyze themes and patterns and identify nuanced differences in perception as to how subsidies relate to employment stability in the context of the family unit. Content validity was based on the ability for participants to read and write effectively and convey their perceptions. The strength of this methodology is its ability to discover perceptions of the program through comments made by subsidy recipients that give insight into how the program works for similar families among rural populations. These comments could indicate potential problems or a need that needs to be addressed from a policy standpoint. Allowing the participant to define employment stability for themselves in the context of their family unit and allowing them to thoughtfully consider their family's needs and the ability of the subsidy to help them meet those needs is also a strength. Weaknesses are the time involved in collecting the data and the unpredictable nature of random sampling. Theories applied were through the rationalist perspective, the child care subsidy program applies welfare economics framework to solving a social problem like the quality and affordability of child care, resulting in the formation of the child care subsidy program. The work support program benefits individuals, families, and communities from an economic standpoint by helping parents care for their children while they continue to work and contribute economically to their well-being and to their community. Social support was provided through shifting resources from an advantaged group to benefit a disadvantaged one. However, it does not harm the higher income citizens at large measure. Under the social constructivist approach, the subsidy program targets the dependent group known as low-income parents, and this special group is within the community that is considered in need of help by advantaged groups. Therefore, advantaged groups activate their political power and advocate for the allocation of resources to help this group of citizens to continue to work. They do this because they believe individuals whose income is below the poverty threshold need affordable care in order to work, and they're wanting to contribute to their own economic support and that of the community in which they live. Therefore, it is a benefit to supporting the program from both parties. 52 respondents took the survey, and 40 or 76.92% were single parents. Of those, 7 were male and 33 were female. 12 or 23.08% of the respondents were co-parents, and all reported being female. The researcher defined parental status as a single parent being a primary caregiver providing all the financial support for minor children, and co-parent was defined as married, divorced, or a party of a joint custody agreement with another parent. The respondents were given a choice to select either single parent or co-parent. The sample size was consistent with realizing a 90% confidence level in the responses given and taking into consideration a 10% margin of error. Although sample size was smaller than the optimal 95% of the population, it is still within reason that the sample size will validate the accuracy of the information collected. Also, the qualitative nature of the study resulted in quality information that can be used to assess the employment stability of participants and evaluate and enhance the program implementation practices at the state and local level. To test if Coles County subsidy recipients perceive that subsidies affect their employment stability, they were asked, 1, if they believe their employment is stable, and 2, if they believe the Child Care Assistance Program subsidies played a role in their ability to achieve stable employment. Each question was constructed based on a key requirement of the program that was central to my study, employment stability. These questions were designed to understand the respondents' perception of stable employment based on their own experiences, beliefs, and values. To do this, I chose not to identify a definition of stable on the survey instrument, allowing the participant to define it for themselves. In doing so, I was better able to understand their perception of stable employment and motivations related to subsidy use. I wanted to understand if the subsidy served as motivation to work or if wanting to work motivated their participation in the subsidy program. In response to the first question, do you consider your employment status stable? 48 or 92.31% reported having stable employment. 4 or 7.69% reported unstable employment. This suggested that a majority of participants perceive their employment as stable, regardless of it being part-time or full-time employment. All of these who reported unstable employment were female, single parents with a family size of 2. In response to the second question, do you believe the child care subsidies you receive play a role in your ability to achieve stable employment? 49 or 94.23% answered yes. This indicated that an overwhelming majority of the respondents perceive that the subsidies do play a role in their ability to achieve stable employment. 42 or 85.71% of those were female, and 4 or 7.69% were male. All male respondents reported their employment was stable. 3 were employed full-time, 1 was employed part-time, and all were white single parents with a family size of 2. Respondents were asked to leave comments to explain their answer to the second question as if they believe subsidies played a role in their ability to achieve stable employment. 16 responded, the program allows parents to work or continue to work. That was by far the most commonly noted benefit of the program. 9 responded it helps make childcare affordable, and 4 responded it helps them retain stable childcare. Analyzing the comments from the standpoint of burdens versus benefits, it is perceived by the target population that the program helps them maintain stable employment and it also appears to be achieving its intended policy goal of having a positive effect on parental employment by providing assistance to securing quality, affordable care for children, in turn keeping people contributing to the community economically. These goals are referenced in comments made by 3 respondents referencing the program helped them afford their other necessities, and 4 respondents referencing it helped them make childcare affordable. Working appears to be the most commonly desired benefit of the program, and cost of childcare appears to be a secondary concern as reflected in the answers selected, and comments made by survey respondents. 37 comments reflected positively on the belief that the subsidy program plays a role in their parents' recipients' ability to achieve stable employment. 3 reflected on the perceived weaknesses of the program and identified the following concerns. The eligibility requirements are restrictive, application and approval processes are slow, low payments made to providers of care. Even though these were noted weaknesses of the program, there were several respondents that made positive comments, and this seems to suggest that overall participants are satisfied with the program. One respondent reflected on perceived weaknesses of the program impacting her employment stability. In her response to the question, do you believe child care subsidies you receive play a role in your ability to achieve stable employment? One white female single parent who works part-time and cares for a toddler and a preschooler reported her employment as unstable. She commented that as a graduate student, she works 19 hours a week and that the subsidies do not cover the time she spends in class or studying. She reported that only undergraduate coursework qualified for subsidies. She also wrote that the subsidies paid the caregivers very little, below a realistic wage, in fact. And she also commented about the strict documentation and paperwork requirements, as well as a lengthy approval process. In the end, she stated, quote, I'm not impressed, but I have to do whatever I can to survive to make a better life for my child. This respondent also believed that the subsidies did play a role in her ability to achieve stable employment. The same respondent answered no to the question, does the subsidy program meet your family's needs? And commented, graduate school work should be recognized, caregivers should be paid better, and training for caregivers should be more accessible. This comment reflects a concern that was unexpected and suggests that although the program helps parents, some problems still need to be addressed on the provider side of the equation. This comment interested me in that it offered insight to how the program affects caregivers who are also subsidy recipients. This comment reflects potential problems associated with the state rules and regulations, which can be used for assessment and evaluation reports completed by the local administrators of the program, as it reflects experiences that may need to be addressed from a policy standpoint. Other comments regarding the subsidies' perceived weaknesses at impacting employment stability are a white female single parent who works full-time and cares for one infant reported her employment as unstable. However, she also reported she believed the child care subsidies did play a role in her ability to achieve stable employment. She commented, I work 2 part-time jobs and child care is hard to find in the evenings when I work. Without the subsidy program's assistance, I would have a harder time finding and affording evening child care. This comment reflected her perception of the importance of the subsidies in helping her find evening care for her children. This is another aspect of child care that impacts employment stability for poor single parents. Although this aspect was not addressed in this research study, the comment reflects another area of concern for parents that would benefit from further study and review by policymakers. Child care in the evenings is hard to find in rural communities like Coles County, and it may be an area of service that the local administrator can address through their programming. Other comments submitted reflect the overall positive perception of how subsidies can help them achieve stable employment. Similar comments were made by both male and female parents caring for various ages of children from various racial and ethnic groups. Common themes can be found in the comments, and it appears respondents perceive the subsidies help them pay for child care, allow them to work part-time or full-time, and obtain access to safe and reliable child care while working or attending school during evenings, nights, and weekends. Respondents were asked, does the subsidy program meet your family's needs, to assess the perception of needs being unmet? 42 or 90.38% responded yes, and 5 or 99.62% answered no. Overall, this suggests the majority are satisfied with the subsidy program and the services that they receive from Child Care Resource and Referral. When asked to comment on any problems that they have faced or ways they feel the program can be improved, the following comments were made by a female single parent working full-time who revealed the program does not meet her family's needs. One white female single parent who cares for a middle school age child said, I am a part-time student and the subsidies income requirements are too low. One Hispanic female single parent who cares for an infant stated, I feel the income requirements is set too low for me. I still have to pay a large copay for my child's care. I feel like I'm working just to pay for childcare. These comments indicate a belief that the income requirements are too low, co-payments are too high, and other comments reveal that some types of works do not qualify for subsidies. This suggests that requirements for the program need to be reviewed and that state policymakers and program administrators need to ensure that child care needs of low-income families continue to be met and that that the policy loopholes need to be addressed. Requirements of the program are set at the state level, and CCR&R and other local administrators have very little control over them. But it is important for policymakers to realize that the one-size-fits-all approach may not serve those from rural communities the same way it does in urban communities. It may be best to use local poverty measures when applying benefits as opposed to state-level measures, which may be more accurate for the relative population. In conclusion, survey responses appear to confirm the hypothesis that child care assistance program subsidies are perceived to have a positive impact on the ability to achieve and maintain stable employment in Coles County, Illinois, regardless of employment status. It is also believed that employment is predominantly stable and the subsidy program meets their family's needs, and this correlates with similar studies conducted on this topic. There is a relationship between the subsidy recipients receive and their employment stability and status. The importance of this research is to broaden the breadth and scope of understanding and knowledge of how subsidies affect the employment stability of those who receive them in rural areas, adding to the limited research on this topic. Results may be used to look for performance indicators indicating the effectiveness of the program or lack thereof. By examining a recipient's perspective on the overall purpose of the subsidy program, researchers may be able to use this information to target populations more effectively. Limitations are that it's based on the participants' perceptions of the subsidy program and its impact on employment stability. Therefore, it is limited by the perceptions of the respondents and the context of their family life and the rural area in which the study was confined to. The broad scope of the questions deals with personal information that can lead to comments being interpreted in multiple ways. And the term stable employment was used, and the definition was based on the perception of employment of the respondents and their family needs and individual values and beliefs. And this could have impacted the relevancy of the data collected. Another limitation of this study is even though the survey instrument included definitions and terms used to clarify the data collected, respondents may have not given honest responses to the questions. And some issues were detected with the construction of the survey instrument that may have impacted the validity of the information collected. And here is a list of my references, and thank you for listening to my presentation.